my goodness. Introduce us. Tell the people who we are.
This is DysChick. And I am SocaSaySo. Yeah, thank you. And that is the Soca Monster. Soca Monster, come say hi to the peoples. Quick. No time.
Show them your
Show me your
logo.
shirt. Show them look. Boom. Boom.
Hello, hi.
Thank you.
All right, Ham. and you are?
I already said I'm SocaSaySo. I am SocaSaySo. And this is Rant and Rave. I mean,
This is our final Rant and Rave for the summer.
I don't know how to feel.
Aww.
I don't know how to feel. But I'm going to keep my spirits up. That's all right. It is the final one of the 4-part summer chat series that we've had. So big up to anybody in here who's been to all 4. I know for a fact Brooklyn Psycho has been to all 4. Oh, look at the good doctor over here. Hello, good doctor. Big up yourself. If anybody watches Tune Tuesday, we all have, some of us have nicknames, and that's the good doctor and Brooklyn Psycho. And we've touched so many topics, right?
Oh my goodness.
We started out with a huge topic.
Because you know, if you are following DysChick and SocaSaySo on Instagram, you know we don't shy away from controversy. So we started with controversy.
We started with Wiatka. And we learned how to say Wiatka.
Yes,
we were all saying it wrong for how many years?
Wiatka, we got it now.
We got it.
now.
And we had them sit down and tell us what they are actually in charge of, what they're not in charge of.
We invited maybe 2 Wiatka members, and they came in force.
They rolled deep. They from Brooklyn. They rolled deep.
They rolled deep, had a whole table to themselves. That was good. But they came, they told us what they do, what they're responsible for, the fact that they are not responsible for Juve, so stop bothering them.
They told us what they need from us as a community to make sure that we keep the parade going, keep all the Labor Day activities going.
Yes.
Part of what they needed is some volunteers, needed some help.
So, being the responsible community members that we are, we volunteered.
Yeah, so we're doing that. So make sure you come out to the events. The events are starting tomorrow.
Yes.
Under the Stars.
This is the unofficial kickoff to Labor Day weekend. Cheap plug, but whatever.
I mean, we're here about us, right?
I'm saying.
So we went from Wiatka. Then we went to supporting Caribbean-owned businesses, which was really, really good. If I may say so myself.
Go ahead, Soca.
It was a lot of networking that went on in that room, a lot of gems that were dropped, a lot of information, and I saw people making some business deals in that one. And that was awesome.
You missed it.
That was our first time having a pop-up shop.
Yes.
And that worked out so well that we did it in every other one.
And Brooklyn Prime. Trax was there talking about his business, and then he sponsored our food. Hopefully you guys had some delicious wings and pasta from Brooklyn Prime.
That was good.
Big up Caribbean-owned businesses right here in Brooklyn.
Yeah. We found out how much on Trax was doing, and we were like, dang, how you be on Instagram so much then?
Talking bad about Guyanese people. But he's not here to defend himself, so
it's all jokes. It's all jokes. It's good. He's a great businessman.
I feel offended.
And then for the third one, we talked about entertainment. We celebrated arts and entertainment. All that comes out of Brooklyn. And we had the Caribbean American Film Academy show a film and talk a little bit about what they do, which that 15 minutes of film touched all of us. So that was amazing.
It was great. It was about, when people send their children or they go abroad and they have to send for their children later, and so their children are with the aunties, the grandmas, the whoever, and you get to see that kind of story. Resonated with everybody in the room, of course.
It impacts, and we all know that story. We all know that story. We had some photographers, some amazing photographers that showcased their work, and we had amazing soca artists in the building. Brooklyn-based artists. Who did we have? We had Nasale, who I see in the building today. It's Nasale.
She whined on a jab.
Yes.
I'm not sure if he was a jab. I didn't get his credentials, but yeah, she definitely whined on a jab.
That was a good one.
And it was
I'm sorry.
captured
Let me get out of that
on the
memory.
Instagrams.
We had Wildfire. We had LFS Music. We had
Moto Day,
Young
Moto
Devin.
Day.
Moto Day. Moto.
And one Vizzy.
And one Busy.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Really,
Wow,
Brooklyn?
they
Really,
didn't- they
Brooklyn?
didn't pick up on
Let me
that.
say that again. Do it again. Do it again.
I didn't do it loud enough.
Do it
That's
again.
what
Do it again.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. There we go.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Come on. All right.
Saying.
All right. Good. You redeemed yourself.
I was getting nervous. I was like, we're in the wrong place. It's not happening. Let's stop now.
Now you're my peoples. Okay. And so today we come to talk about the most serious topic there is.
Ugh.
Where the heck am I going to go to FET?
Other than right here in Tropical Reflections Ballroom. Big up,
Boom,
Jean.
boom, boom. Big up. Tropical
even turned it
Reflections. Jean, we see you.
Jean. Oh dear, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind, Jean. Sorry.
She said don't mess up her place. That's all right. We will have a respectful rave.
These
Don't
are
worry.
respectful working people.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's talk about why it was so important to have this one.
Oh my goodness, because as Caribbean people, we definitely need to not only support our artists, support our art, support our business, but also have a place to free up, to enjoy our music, our culture, our DJs, our artists. And there are so few venues in Brooklyn that can handle our crowds, and they are going one by one. You can visit the graveyard and see all the names of the venues that have gone.
Such a sad state.
I'm saying. I think just the other day, Major Ike did a throwback at CPAC. We were like, I remember that. Yes, so rather than just lament the fact that we are losing our venues and cry over it and complain, we want to make sure that we come together to find solutions so that we can preserve our culture, our festivities, and our venues.
Exactly. So that the future has some place to have their culture. I mean, honestly, it's part of our, it's a major part of our culture to get together and FET, right? So, let's call up our panelists.
Yes. Who do we
So many
start
people
with?
took time out of their day.
Silence here.
Silence your phones,
Yeah.
she said to herself. So many people came out today. Our panel list was long, if you haven't seen.
Yes.
And who do we have? I'm going to just shout out at random.
I'm going to start with the person I'm seeing right in front of me, Miss Joan Beckridden. Community activist.
Please come on up.
Come on up.
Don't sit down. Come on up.
Fellow Guyanese. Ooh, capture it, Trimbajan. Where you at?
Oh, see? The flag is ready at all times.
Yes.
Be ready.
Yes.
Gosh.
My people.
Can I call up another Guyanese?
I think we should call up another Guyanese.
Wow. Miss Lulu, please come up to represent for the veteran fetters out here.
Ooh, she has been partying. We're not going to age her, but she has been partying in Brooklyn
she look young
for
and
a
sprightly.
while. Look, she walked
Look
with
at
a
her.
flag.
Look
My
at
people.
her. Wave.
Yes.
Wave.
You know, we go to the corner store with our flag.
That's how you go to the corner store?
That's how I go to the corner store.
All right, fine. And where is Skinny? Skinny is in the building, otherwise known as Mr. Skinny or the Skinners or that guy I see at every FET I go to. I mean, see?
Look at this.
He's everywhere. He knows everyone.
I'm saying.
And who am I missing?
How could you forget Miss Chic herself? Miss Natalie Lamming, please come to the front.
Wait a minute. No,
Your
I cannot have leg competition in here. No. Look at this. Look at you. Thank you for coming out, guys.
She got the memo. It's like night.
Excellent.
All right, so should we just jump into it? You
Well,
have
I
your
think we should tell
microphone.
everybody. Like, do we feel like we know who these people are? That's why.
Some know, some yes, some no.
Some yes, some no. I feel like we should do a little
Go for it.
introduction at first. I'm gonna go with Lulu because I wants to. Because Lulu is my fetting partner, okay? Lulu is a veteran fetter. She's been partying for...
Do not age her. A while.
A while. She was fetting in the times of fet posses, fet groups, who come with their flags, come dressed all the same, with their with their crazy vibes in
Looking
a
like
fet.
a soca gang.
Looking like a soca gang, yes. She was one of those people. Up to now, Lulu will travel all over New York if she thinks there will be a good fet. Now, I know for a fact, Lulu, you have been to some backyards, you have been to some open fields, some warehouses.
You make it sound like she has no standards.
Well, she is following the vibes, right? And I know you would also love to find those vibes in a well-appointed venue such as this. So this is Lulu. So give it up for Lulu, please.
We've got Miss Joan Beckerton. Of course. Of course. Community activist. Community involved leader. Let's just say that. You take a lot of time to do things to strengthen your community, to make sure you are a part of it. Some of us do not get involved in what is happening in our communities. We just sit back and watch. Not Miss Joan. Former association member. My goodness, I could run it down, but let's just say she is out there. Political affiliations, community affiliations. She is doing what she can to strengthen her community. And so she is also on the panel. You're probably wondering, well, why is she here? She is also on the panel because, like the rest of us, we know that we love our Brooklyn venues, but we also want to make sure that promoters, venue owners are telling people how to behave and conduct themselves when they leave the venues and get into the community so that we can maintain that. So we have that perspective on the panel.
Give it up. Thank you. And I'm going to introduce Mr. Skinny. Now, I can't even tell you exactly what he does, but here's what it looks like from afar. And he's going to correct me at some point, or I'm pretty sure he won't because he likes the air of mystery. You see how he just confessed on himself. So Mr. Skinny is also representing for the fetters, but he could also represent for the promoters, for sure. But he has been to every venue. He knows every DJ, and he knows all of their dirt.
He knows where the bodies are buried, is that what you're saying?
Yes, he definitely knows where the bodies are buried.
Make sure Skinny gets home safely.
He's got something like a venue cemetery somewhere. And he also is very opinionated. He's had a role in Soca Radio. He's been on the radio, giving his opinions on everything happening in the scene. And he is also taken to Instagram, taken to social media to give his advice out to some of the fellas in the soca scene, some of the ladies as well, and to give his opinions on what's going on. And the other day, Skinny told me that the scene is a lost cause. So we're going to talk about that. Is it a lost cause, or can we hold on to it? Can we make it stronger for future generations? Is the venue situation part of the problem, or things just come and go? So we will talk to Mr. Skinny about all of that. Give it up for Mr. Skinny. And I'm sorry, one more thing. I'm just super jealous that he is Mr. Skinny and he's been partying for long. I just would like to hope that I can also say that I am Miss Skinny. Sorry, let's not go there.
You proposing?
No. I just want to be skinny and be partying
what do you
forever.
Say, Skinny?
That's what I'm saying. Not that I am. This is why I try to make her do all the talking, and she keeps giving me the mic. Go on.
I had to. And last, definitely not least, Natalie Lemon. So many people know Natalie. You know her from the Savannah. You may know her from Chic and Shush, all of these major parties. Memorial Weekend, I'm telling you, everybody talks about shh. You know, you're not supposed. I don't. Not
I
supposed
never
to talk
know
about
how you're
it?
supposed to say it, because I always call it shush, but that's
It
just...
sounds so mean. It's a
Right.
secret. It's shh, shh, shh.
Shh. Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So, not only she been a venue owner, she's also a promoter and been in the scene also for a while. Not gonna date you.
Good.
But so we have a variety of perspectives. Give it up
Give
for
it
our
up.
panel. And I'll let you kick it off. Let's get into it.
All right. You, please.
I will let you kick
Double-
it off.
double
and get
dutch.
into it.
What do you feel is your major role in the community? I'm gonna shoot that one out to all of you. In the soca community, it does not. I'm not saying community board only. But go on.
All right, so I'm the bold one. I took the mic. Yes, I did it.
So Guyanese.
So my role is to be inclusive. My role is to vet and have fun while making sure that my community is still advocated for and looked after. So there's a lot of fun in the music. There's a lot of, we all work hard. So if you work hard, you should play hard. We all know that topic there. So my role is to make sure that while we're having fun, we're being responsible.
Oh, promoters have roles in the community as well.
Of course. So I feel like, for me, my role in the community as not necessarily a promoter, because I really hate that word, but if you want to package it, venue owner, promoter, when I do events, I feel that sometimes as West Indians, we get misrepresented. I feel sometimes, to be truthful, sometimes some of us as West Indians do things kind of half-assed. And I feel, too early. But I feel like for me, I feel like it's important that we have people out there that represent us the right way. So when I do my events or try to do anything that I know is going to represent me, not necessarily Trinidadian, but just overall, because they look at us overall, they don't pinpoint us. I try to put my best foot forward and make sure that I do things as quality, as with a quality background and everything, because I feel like any little thing that we do bad gets blown up more than the good that we do, and that's the best way that I try to represent my community, even though sometimes others looking on may not feel like that because they don't know the red tape and the work and everything that goes into it.
Oh, she's playing shy.
I didn't think I had a role in the community, but I'm a fedder. I go out and fed. It depends on the venue. It depends on the DJs. Also, now that the fedders now is a different generation. Okay. Hey. Since the fedders now is a younger generation, sometimes I just stop and analyze how they react to the music that's playing, the different cultures that's going on around there. So I just take a moment and take it on myself, like, is this where we're going with this? Or, being a vet, the difference from when I used to party hard back in the days and how I'm partying now, the different crowd is just awakening. It's a rude awakening.
What is my role? Okay, so my role is multifaceted, I guess, being a co-band owner of one of the mass bands here in Brooklyn. Also to working with behind the scenes a lot with a lot of the different promoters. A lot of them call me and ask for different stuff, trying to help them out and stuff. Trying to work with a lot of the younger generation DJs and promoters and stuff that are coming up now, trying to show them the example that I was taught as I started from a very young age in this business under the massive Tony Soul. And I was very young when I started in this business, and I was taught the business a certain way from that generation, and I feel like it was lost somewhere in between. And you know, just trying to help guide this. I want to see it continue. I don't know if it will.
So I just want to add Feta, who represents the Feta. So I feel like I'm going to say patrons, because, you know, it could be somebody who's patronizing your business or whatever. But I feel like patrons play such a big role. I feel like when I do stuff, I feel like I'm the principal of the school, right? And it's my job to execute things the right way and provide the tools for my students, who are the patrons that are coming to get an education, which is have a good time. And you can be the best principal you want to be and provide all the tools that's necessary for that education. But then the patrons play a very, very important role. And what patrons don't realize that you too represent the culture. It's just like, you know how they say charity begins at home, how your parents bring you up, how to behave when you go outside. It's a whole trickle-down effect. And I do understand that things have changed. I started my first waitressing job when I was 17 years old. I'm 42 this year. And yes, things have changed. And all our parents, you know, our parents always tell us, you know, things wasn't like that back in the days. Yes, it wasn't. But the objective is that you have to keep up with the times and change as these changes are being made. And I cannot think the same way as a business owner or as a patron when I got how I used to think when I was 17 years old. You know, I could barely count on one hand the places that are open from when I was 17 years old, right? But one thing I could count is I see the same patrons, even though they're getting older and older. So it's like the businesses are not staying open and stuff like that. But I have patrons that come to my business that I have been serving since I'm 17 years old. I have served Bobby from Footprints as a young girl. I've served the guys from Track. I've served everybody. So it's like, what really is changing and what needs to change? So I feel like, believe it or not, I feel like patrons you know, like their role is major. And I think that's something that we need to like seriously address, because nobody points fingers at the patrons.
Ish. I think ish, because people do point their fingers at the patrons, because long after they leave your spot, they're who you're being held accountable for, right? So you leave the venue, so the patrons, Thank you. So the patrons leave the venue, and all people see is the potential mess that they've left as they pass by on your street, on your block, after they leave the venue, the noise that they make after they leave your spot, your event. So what happens is then the patron you're being held accountable for your patron as the venue owner. So the fetter comes out and he or she had a fantastic time in your space, because I've been to your events. We have a ball. But then after we leave, we need to be mindful that what we're doing is now reflective of you. And I think people kind of forget that piece. They know that I came, I had a great time, I made sure that my money was spent in your venue, and now when I leave, I continue my good time and forget that outside your doors is a family, is a church, is just life happening or not happening because people are asleep. So I think as we're thinking about what part we can play, we need to think about that as well, kind of what happens after you leave the venue, because that's why some of these spaces are now closed.
Well, look, it's a double-edged sword, because I feel like this as a venue owner, as a party promoter, I'm keeping it real. When people come to the events, we give them poison, liquor. It's poison, right? So 9 out of 10 times, people don't leave their home with the intent of, hey, I'm gonna act like a fool after, or I'm dressed up really nice and I'm gonna forget myself and stuff like that. That's where the liquor comes and alters your whole mindset, right? So again, speaking from as a principal, it's my job to make sure from the beginning of the event to the end of the event, like me, I don't sleep until like a couple of days later when I hear nobody got into an accident from one of my events. It's not just about, okay, well, party done, that's it. So principal has to make sure that, you know, all the way down to the end, even if I have to come out, I've come outside the savannah and be like, hey, you gotta come off the streets. And I pay security for that. You know what I'm saying? But security can never ensure your business place or your event like you can. My thing is that I don't know what it is we need to do, but I just wish that patrons would really, really understand the effect that they leave after or 2 months later or next year, or because we hear it from the precinct. You remember last year, you know, I've gone all the way to La Marina in the Bronx. And they've said, you know, they've said, oh, so is it gonna be like that? And I'm looking at them, they're like, is it gonna be like that party, John Day? I'm like, what? You know, so it's like they, you know, people here, you know, so it's like, how do we fix this? Like, you know, that's where everything is kind of crumbling, because we could sit here all day and say the promoter's not doing this and the venue owner's not doing this and the patron's not doing this. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, but something kind of has to give, because, you know, Skinny thinks it's a lost cause. A lost cause. That's what you said. Yeah, you can take this now.
Okay, so here's the situation, and we're gonna say this as real as possible. Caribbean people don't know how to go home after it's done. It is what it is. I mean, point blank and simple. The biggest problem that we have is not necessarily during the events, it's after. You know what? Okay, but when we're speaking about the Caribbean community right now, I could say black people, but we're talking about the Caribbean community. I mean, somebody's gonna pull up, they're gonna bust open their trunk, they're gonna have a case of stag in the back, then two people wanna sit down and talk, then they wanna go. Another problem, I love them to death, but Bird and Miguel outside selling food. The people leave the party, they stand up, there's 200 people standing by a van trying to get food, they don't wanna go home. I understand that you're hungry when you're leaving, but this is also something that people that do not understand our culture is seeing. The police department is standing here seeing this. Sometimes the fire department is standing there seeing this. The sanitation department is standing there seeing this. And these are the people that are pretty much shutting us down. You know, they got venues right now where we can't walk into venues. If you walk into a venue, as soon as you walk in, they ask what kind of party it is. They hear soca. The police department tells them, no, don't take it. Or if they take it, they're charging you double the cost. You understand? So when I say it's a lost cause, it does sound harsh. But it will be a lost cause if we don't change the mentality of what we're doing out here. And unfortunately, I know, you know, coming up, if Marcus Crew had a party, I know who the promoters of Marcus Crew are. If anything's gonna happen, I'd say, boy, nah, I gotta respect Rogers and them because, you know, this is their thing. Or if Natalie has an event and some foolishness happens, I could say in my head, nah, this Natalie thing, I don't wanna mess up Natalie thing because it's gonna fall back on her. But now, promoters have tried to make themselves into celebrities, unfortunately. You understand? So they're standoffish from their people. Promoters and DJs. I'm not going to leave DJs out either, but promoters, they kind of made themselves into celebrities where their crowd doesn't personally know them anymore. So they don't care what happens. They don't care if this promoter doesn't come back next week because Facebook, Instagram, and, you know, all the rest of the social media, that made 2,000 promoters out here. Everybody got 50 friends and all of a sudden became a promoter. So you don't know who's doing this, and we're not even gonna talk about the foreign promoters that come in here because no one knows who they are, and they come and take your money and they dip and they don't care about nothing else that's going on in the community. You understand? So yeah, we are fighting a losing battle. We're fighting, Natalie's fighting a losing battle because you have Scorch and Private Ryan and this one and that one coming in on our major weekends where our own local promoters can't win.
Well, Natalie, you said that we have to keep up with the times. But while people are keeping up with the times, so they're still using the essence of how things used to be. That's how they're losing vets now, because all the young people are out there now, and I feel like they're more catering to the young people instead of the older generation. It should be maybe a balance, but that's why people are getting so tired of hearing the same thing over and over because they're catering to them. Also, the whole due to unforeseen circumstances is getting too redundant. I'm pretty sure things do happen by accident, but I'm pretty sure at the same token, things could have been avoided. So when people are having the parties, are they asking if the venue have liquor license? What additional steps do they need to take instead of just finding out if the date is available to get the bookings? Because I would like to have a party myself, but now I'm like, there's no venue, and I want to take proper precautions in case I do have an event, what to do.
Okay, so you said two things. So yes, they are catering to the younger. So what I find is happening now is that people are transactional, and they're not looking to build, to cultivate like you have, and like other promoters that I know have, where they cultivate a specific base. They have people who come back to them consistently, so they have that relationship. So as you're saying, Mr. Skinny, they have buy-in, so people look after each other in that space. And what people are doing now is because they want to be Instagram and Facebook famous, they opt instead to be transactional. And I'm going to make $10,000 right now, and then on to the next. And I don't care who I hurt, because when it's all said and done, they're going to hear that Joan is doing something, and they're going to show up because something scandalous is getting ready to happen. And then I'm going to be on Facebook and Twitter and everything else, and before you know it, I'm getting bottle service and everything else that they think is important, as opposed to what truly is important, which is a culture, which is a people, and which is making sure that next year we're together in this space, right? So, and the flip side of that is the space. So for us, I'm on the board of a few organizations, one of which had an experience just recently where, just as you're saying, before you can put on a cultural event, and when I say cultural, I mean my culture, West Indian, Caribbean culture, before you put it on, everybody and their mother wants to know who's gonna be there, how many people, what type of music, you got liquor? Oh, you not no liquor? Oh, but I know you're gonna have liquor, so I come in tomorrow and I'm gonna check you out. Right? And if you have an SLA permit, because it's a process. So before you put on your event, you can come to Community Board 17, and I'm not saying it because my husband's the chair of the Commerce Committee. I'm not saying it because of that. But you do have the Commerce Committee. You have the Precinct Council that you can come and get before and have these discussions in a public forum to make sure they know that not only do you care about the community that you're getting ready to host your event in, but you know ahead of time that they see you and they know you're here to do something good. If you're gonna make some money, great, but you're here to bring the culture for your people in this time that is now.
Okay. So I have a couple issues, and people may disagree with me, but I believe when you own a home and you have a backyard, I believe you should be able to have a private event in your backyard and invite your friends over. I'm for that, whether it's 100 people or 50 people. What I disagree with as a promoter, for me, and y'all may not agree with me because this is a culture that we've had years ago, is when you charge somebody $20, $50, $40, whatever, to come in your backyard of your private home and expect to execute an event that there's laws and policies and processes. Because I feel as a venue owner, and there's a couple of them here, you guys know getting a liquor license is like Osama bin Laden getting a green card. So there's a whole bunch of red tape. Red tape is a loose word, but the drama that you go through to just get a license, why should I go through all this drama that opens me up to the government, right, of any little thing that I do, and I must sit as a business owner who's paying taxes and working for Uncle Sam and watch the backyard down the street with 200 people selling liquor like if it's nothing, that don't have to go through health department, that don't have to go through DEP passing with a sound checker, that don't get the tickets that I get. Why should I watch that? So for me as a venue owner, I'm shutting shutting that down, because at the end of the day, when anything happens on that block, they're not coming to the non-license holder. They're coming to the person who has the license. If anything happens to anybody on that block, daytime, nighttime, morning, they knock on my door. So I'm not for the paid vets in the backyards. Because it was a culture that we existed in long ago, does not mean it's okay. Okay? And when a promoter charges somebody a whole $50 to come into their backyard, and then the party gets shut down, why you vexed with the promoter? You're the idiot that paid $50 to come in somebody's backyard, you could jump the fence. It makes no sense, right? So for me, a lot of the due to unforeseen circumstances, look, when you deal with a promoter, it's a trust factor. I feel like this: if I've been promoting for years and I never have an issue, and I come with one issue in 17 years, you're gonna kill me? Shit happens. So you gotta go by somebody's reputation. You understand what I'm saying? So if somebody's continuously having a problem with their event, they don't give refunds, they don't do anything, they don't even say, I am sorry. Right? But then I see patrons go right back and buy the $60, $70 tickets. So at the end of the day, how can we respect you guys? Feta.
Wow. Shots fired. Shots fired. We're going to
I like
reel
how
that
that
in right now.
I like how that price just kept going up and up and up.
Right?
That sounds like the
Started
scene,
it
right?
like-
We started at $20, we went all the way to 70. Wait, hold on. I want to put a few pins in things, all right? We're going to come back to some things. I like this flow, so I'm not going to get in the way. But we're going to come back to the difference between a community board and the commerce committee, and what role we should play in those things. We're going to come back to fetters who are going to those parties and supporting the ones that keep doing the wrong thing over and over again. But Skitty, let's go.
Okay, so I have 2 points to make. Well, one is a question, actually. The promoters that are out here now, I keep hearing the word culture going around. Where's the culture? Because all they're doing is coming out here and raping people. You understand? The price of liquor hasn't changed in about 10 years, to tell you the honest to God truth. And every year, I see the bottles go up 120, 130, 150, 200. That's the first point I want to make. So are we still living in a culture, or is this a business? Because you can't do the two. You're not going to do the two. You're not going to do the two. Because if you're dealing with it as a business job is to make as much money as possible. And if you're doing it as a culture, you don't want to rape your own people. You understand? So there is a difference between the two. But it's hard to marry it. It's hard to marry. Okay, I mean, you could disagree. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right. The second thing I have to say is another problem that has happened is that a lot of people, like we said, all of a sudden became promoters. They don't understand what it is to be behind the scenes and actually do the promoter work, break down all the things that Natalie said. A lot of people are accustomed, and we've had this culture from definitely through the first decade in the 2000s, where they'll walk in the door, they'll see Miss Jean. Miss Jean, I want a date for August 31st. They'll shake hands, and they'll walk out the door. It doesn't work like that anymore. You literally have to go through a due process. I was giving an example. Oh, there's a lot of venue owners that do it. No, not you, Miss Jean. I used you as an example. No, what I'm saying, but that happened in a lot of venues. You know what I'm saying? That's how business deals were done. This is the point that I was getting to. You understand? So the process of being a promoter now, I know I've sat in meetings before where I've heard people in the police department ask them for their tax ID number. Promoters don't register their business. They want to know where this money is going. There's multiple different things that you have to do. You're doing a party in somebody's event, somebody's space in their neighborhood, go to the police department. Let the police department know I'm keeping this event. Don't let it pop up. Don't let it pop up on people, because I literally saw an event last year, Labor Day, that the venue owner told the promoter that he had all his paperwork. And he did. He sat down, he showed all his paperwork and everything. And the night before the party, when they found out what was going on, the police department did not know about the event. And they came and they said, we don't have enough police to cover the event. And they had to literally try to move that event the last minute because all the I's weren't dotted and all the T's were crossed. So So you need to understand that we're not living in the day of age of shaking hands anymore. We're not shaking hands. We're not, because I know you personally, I could just call you and say I need this payment, or I could just put a down payment down and everything is good. If I go to your venue, I need to see your liquor license. I need to see your public assembly license. I need to see your workman's comp license. I need to see every license that needs to be out there, but we're not doing it no more. And a lot of people don't have it. And that's why these venues are getting shut down.
Okay. That word rape, let's keep it real. Anytime there's a money transaction over the counter or an exchange of goods, it's called business. Let's just keep it real, okay? And for me, I can speak for me, but I have paid almost $75,000 for a venue. That's the cost of the venue. We didn't talk about the speaker box. We didn't talk about the security. We didn't talk about all that. And I always tell people, I keep it very real. What I do for a living, whether it's chic or shush or Savannah or whatever, that's how I intend to put my child in college. Let's just keep it real. I don't work. I don't get up at 9 in the morning and clock anybody's clock. So this is how I take care of my child. I do it to the best of my ability because I am proud of my culture and who I am, and I want to make sure it's represented the same way. But I'm not a damn fool. I'm not just going to spend money and there's no money made. This is a business that I do. So at the end of the day, when we use the word rape, right? Rape is charging somebody $60 or $70 in a venue that is not licensed and secured, that is going to get shut down, and I could trickle down with the effect or whatever the case may be. I cannot speak for everybody. I don't know people's budget, but I don't see anything wrong if I know that I'm giving you a quality event and I'm paying out of my tail for this event. Like, look, it's just, look, venue owners, they could look at the cost of what the bottle costs in the store, but we're not in the store, okay? When patrons go to Manhattan, or let me just keep it real, when they go to anything non-West Indian, they spend $300 on a bottle, easy like it's nothing. They don't question it. They don't question it. But you know what? Manhattan and let me say non-West Indian places been charging money for bottles years. When I was 17 years ago, when I was 17 years old, the thought of even buying a bottle was like, okay, never for me, because I didn't have that kind of money. And my whole thing about it is that that's nothing new. You want to play VIP, you want to buy a bottle, because we as venue owners, we don't really like to give bottles, because that means I'm letting you drink at your own free will. There's a cost factor to it. So that's how venue owners think. So anybody on the outside say, I pay $45 for a bottle of Hennessy when I'm home. That's what you do when you're home. It's not like that. So why is it okay? Why is it okay to go to a non-West Indian event and pay the money, don't complain or mumble about it, and go back? But the minute you come to a party and you realize, I know them bartenders local, I know she have the bar, I know he have the bar, all of a sudden you have a problem. If you go to Skinny's party or Roy's party, I don't mean to call y'all, if you go to Roy's party and he put 10 Spanish girls behind there and they're not speaking West Indian, you're gonna pay that drink easy and just mumble about it. But if you see the local bartenders behind there, you're gonna talk about Roy in the morning. You know, Roy charged $15 for a whole drink, and it becomes a conversation. Listen, people have choices. You have a choice to do it or not. It's very, very simple. So I just feel like, look, my thing is this, and I'm gonna go back to something y'all said. There are lots of restaurants and bars in Williamsburg, in Park Slope and stuff. They have French doors, they open their doors. 10 white people out on the street, it's cool. 10 black people on the street is a riot. I don't know if you all know that, okay? So at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's a little black and white thing. Let's just keep it real, okay? Because I have been to events where I've seen, look, black people act up when they're drunk, white people act up when they're drunk too. As a matter of fact, those white parties, they use more drugs than they drink. They get their high off of drugs, right? Skinny, you know that, right? So at the end of the day, we get high off of liquor and weed, right? They get high off of real drugs, right? Nobody can act more stupid like a white person do, a drunk white boy. Let's keep it real, okay? Let's keep it real. So at the end of the day, it's okay for two white boys to be fighting outside and they be like, let's just part them, you guys need to go home. But two black people, it's a problem. It's a whole problem. So at the end of the day, black people, let's keep it real. We know how society goes. And we have to do a little extra because it is what it is. And that's the problem. We promoters, and we have to dot our I's and cross our T's a little bit more than the others do. And yes, the venue owners, they are going to charge us extra and do this or whatever, because if you as a promoter not doing your due diligence, it is what it is. If you're going to pay, they're going to take your money. You go, it's either you want it or you don't want it. It's very simple. It's like, to me, we could diddle-daddle about it all day long. It just have some things I feel we cannot change. It's either we adapt and make it work for us, right? But at the end of the day, black people, you know they watch us with a cross eye, regardless of what we do or what we try. And promoters, I truly believe reputation. You see, promoters get caught up with what people say and public say and if they like me. But you need to be more impressed by who's impressed by your proper reputation, not the people on the street who have nothing to offer. When I go to a venue, listen, I don't get caught up if Mary and Jane like me, but when I go to a venue or when I went to Russo's on the Bay for New Year's and I walked in there bravely, because I didn't think they would give me that place. Because Russo's is high-end wedding, that's it. Okay, when I went there and I sat around the table with all the Russo's, because they keep it in the family, okay? And one white boy said, "You's the girl who does do that party in Coney Island?" Well, he tried, right? The point is, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was, okay? He's not in our circle. And he said, "My brother friend owns that spot, and I hear about this spot, blah, blah, blah." So you gotta know, promoters, DJs, who your reputation counts to. So if you don't have people don't have to like you, but if your reputation is good as a promoter, you could go to any precinct. I go to any neighborhood, and I'm okay. And I could say that proudly. I'm okay because they know. I'm like, yo, how much security you want me to have? 60? That's it. People want to have events with 7,000, 8,000 people and have 20 security. How is that? How is that? That makes no sense. Like, I mean, Skinny, you know a lot of the people I'm talking about, and there are very few promoters that do it right. And if I was bold, and I'm not bold because I'm a behave, but I could probably call them on one hand. I could only call them on one hand. They don't do it. You cannot have an event with over a certain amount of people and rock it out with 15 security. There's no way in hell, because you're trying to cut the budget after you done charge $60. You said rape.
Passionate.
That's so
I'll
much.
let you have one more question before we take intermission.
I just want to give a shout out to Redman Vibe Man in the building, because big up yourself. One of the best MCs to do it who's probably touched every venue in Brooklyn, in New York. Big up yourself. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you.
Yeah, confiance.
Can I make a turn? And can I make a turn to DJ extraordinaire turned promoter? I don't know if promoter.
King of the waterways.
King of the waterways. I like that one. Pump Life, Forever Young, Super Roy, Marshall's DJ. Wow. Wow, the list goes on and on. Big of yourself, Super Roy in the building.
When we come back from intermission, Super Roy is going to join our panel.
Yeah, you guys have touched on so much. There's definitely an issue between generations, which I find so weird, because we're talking about soca, right? Like soca that started like 1970, like yesterday soca. Like, we're going to talk about the old days, the good young days. Like, it just started. How are we losing it already? Like, we should be learning as we go on, not one person rises and the rest of us have to figure it out. So I think there's some communication maybe and some learning that needs to be happening. perhaps some promoters to take somebody under their wing, look out for the next generation. Each one teach one, I don't know. And there's also a difference between the events that are happening and the spaces we are choosing. Are they appropriate spaces for the events we're having? We need to talk about that. Did you want to have one more question, or can we take an intermission?
You know what? I feel like that's kind of a mic drop moment. I was going to ask one more question, but I feel like we could take a 10-minute intermission and come back with our panel. Give it up for our panel, man.
They're on it. They're prepared. And I need you to support the bar, support this venue, and support the vendors that came out, took their time, and brought all of their merchandise out
and
here.
of course, take your pictures at our Step and Repeat banner and our venue graveyard in the back.
Dum, dum, dum. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking around. We appreciate you. It is BK Rant and Rave. I am SocaSaySo.
I am DysChick.
And it looks like we've grown. We've got a little more. We've got a little more family with us today. So we've already introduced Super Roy. So Super Roy is here to represent the promoters that we've been talking about. You're on the promoter side. So stay close to Natalie. She got you.
She doesn't need backup. She's good.
It's troubles, but we have an empty seat here.
We have an empty seat
What
here.
goes on there?
Mystery. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the West Indian liaison for the NYPD here, also working in the commissioner's office, Detective Roxanne Joseph.
Come on up.
I will let her introduce herself. She's done so much for the community.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Detective Roxanne Joseph. I'm the West Indian liaison for the police commissioner. A little background about myself. These guys actually know me. I've been working with them for a long time. But I have 14 years in the NYPD. I started off in the 6-7 precinct. I was the community affairs there for 8 years. I did 11 years in the 6-7, which actually covers this area, yeah. About 3 years ago, the police commissioner picked me up and put me on his team. So now I'm the West Indian liaison in the police commissioner's office. So I got invited to this, and I couldn't make it because I had a work event. And so I'm on my way home, and she's like, you have to come, please stop by. So I just wanted to come by to introduce myself and, you know, stay for a little bit and answer any questions that you guys may have on the law enforcement side that I could help with. And also, I am West Indian. I'm from St. Vincent.
Vincy Massive, look, Brooklyn Psycho, wake up. Look, Brooklyn Psycho, put the psycho away. Put the psycho away.
So I don't know if I missed part of it. I don't know. Hassan was kind of catching me up on some of the things that you guys were discussing. I don't know if you guys have any main questions for me as it relates to backyards. I know over here, backyards is very sensitive. I know over here within our culture, we're a very festive culture, and there's a lot of backyard events, a lot of open space events. Unfortunately, years ago, within the confines of the 6-7 precinct, they were very slack on the backyards. They never really used to do much enforcement. But about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we had a shooting on 5-2 and Clarendon. 4 years ago? 4 years ago. And we had 9 people shot in the backyard. And when that happened, they really kind of clamped down on the backyard events. Another thing, too, is the 6-7 precinct, unfortunately, sometimes is leading the city in shootings and homicide. Believe it or not, there's so much hardworking people over here, so much beautiful, hardworking immigrants, but we have a few people that really messes it up for us. And 90% of the homicide and shootings or the violence stem from backyard parties over here. So that's the challenge that we have with the police department and their backyard parties. The other thing is, culturally, back home, it's normal for us to have the music in the backyard, drinking in the backyard. Here, it's different. You can't drink on the sidewalk, you can't drink outside, you have to have your music reasonable. You can't have, liquor being sold in your yard. You can't have porta potties and all those things in your backyard. It's basically called an illegal social club when you start doing that, and it becomes a problem. So that's where we had with backyard. I want to open it up for questions. I think it's better if you ask me questions and I can answer.
I think our panelists might have some questions for you.
So I can't just bring my bottle and come? Oh, I said I can't just bring my bottle and come?
Can I talk without the mic?
They may not hear you in the back, and they need to hear you in the back.
So if you're home, if you're having, let's say you're having a graduation party or a baby shower or a birthday party in your backyard, right? The police can't tell you that you can't have an event in your backyard. You could have a bottle in your backyard, but you can't have a certain amount of liquor because the law assumes that it's for sale. The one thing I always tell people is we have to be honest with ourselves. So sometimes we'll have liquor in the backyard, but they say, you know what, we're not selling. But then there's exchange of money. There's somebody that have up a list with a price list. That considers that you're selling. That's a problem. That's a problem. And also, they usually don't give the liquor permit. If you don't have a liquor permit, you cannot have a certain amount of liquor on your property where it's going to be assumed for sale, where you wouldn't have on a regular. So they don't give the liquor permit for private homes. So you wouldn't get a liquor permit if you want to have an event in your backyard. You wouldn't get a liquor permit to do that because it's illegal to sell liquor from your backyard or from your house. You could bring your bottle, but you can't sell and you can't have a bunch of liquor.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question, right? As a promoter, I know a lot of people are scared to ask this question, but if a promoter is throwing an event, what is the proper protocol to get assistance from the NYPD? Meaning to say they're having an event with more than 1,000 people and they want the assistance from the NYPD, from the local precinct. What is the proper protocol for to get that assistance from them versus them just showing up and seeing chaos outside? Is there a certain way to go to the precinct? Do you fill out an application? How do you do that?
So when I did community affairs, I always told people, if you're talking about a bona fide event, correct? Where you have a permit, you got a permit from buildings, okay. So this is a permit event, so you're having a legal event. You should go to the local precinct. It's very important to have a relationship with your local community affairs because those guys are gonna look out for you. They're gonna let the commanding officer, who's gonna let the team in the precinct know that this person is having an event. And the police department should not have to police your event. You have to police your own event. So if the police department come out and they have to police your event, it's a problem. That means that there's a problem there. So the one thing I always say as it relates to our people, we like to hang out, and I always keep it real. When an event is finished, we have to go. We have to go. We congregate outside, and the police have to come, and that's where the violence starts happening. Because you have people who are intoxicated, they're not thinking properly, they may have a little confrontation inside, and you're hanging out outside, and that's where it starts. So I always tell people when your event is finished, you should have your security start dispersing people. They should leave, they should not be hanging around in the street, hanging out outside, sitting on the cars, because I'm a police officer. I get nervous. When I was on patrol, I get nervous when I see an event is finished, especially in the 6-7 where there's a challenge with violence. I get nervous when we come out there and the event is done and everybody's just sitting around, they're just standing around. We're just wondering, well, what's gonna happen? So the promoters, your DJs, they have a responsibility and you have to let them know, listen, after the party, everybody gotta go. We wanna have a decent event. Our event should not be labeled with violence. We're Caribbean people, we're not violent people. And so we should not be labeled as violence because there's other events that happen different parts of the city and they don't have the type of violence that we have. So we kind of ruin it for ourselves.
Right.
But there's no permit if you go to the precinct. Right. There's no permit, there's no sound permit, there's nothing like that because the sound permit only goes sometimes until 9 o'clock and you can't play. There's a lot of rules to the sound permit. You can't have liquor there and all that stuff. So what you should do is go to the local precinct, get the community affairs, let them know that you're having an event, this is the time of your event, and people get it mistaken. People think because the police come out, it's bad. You know, they start acting up and they start giving an attitude and they start pushing that bad vibes. There's no reason for that. The police are your friends. Those are you want the police to be at your event because it's a deterrence. So if they come, tell your patrons that. You know, like there's no reason to start cursing. I've been to events before where the cops are out there and the patrons are just cursing them out for no reason. They're there for your safety.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a history we're missing.
As far
a
as
bit of a history with patrons and with Caribbean community and the cops in Brooklyn. We talked a little bit before about racism is a fact in New York, and especially when it comes to police and the Caribbean community. So I think it's a little unfair to say there's zero reason to have your back up when you see cops. Should we all do better? Should we all work with our community? Yes.
Well,
but we do have some reasons.
The one thing I could say, listen, in every work world, in every community, you know, you're gonna find those challenges. NYPD is no different, you know. You're gonna find challenges with people who lack sensitivity to a certain culture because maybe they don't understand. But the one thing I can say right now with the administration now that we have in the NYPD is that, you know, I always use myself as an example. I'm the first West Indian liaison working in the police commissioner's office at the level of where I'm at. So it tells you where the police department is going right now. So these days within the police department, those challenges, there's no tolerance for that. There's zero tolerance for that. And I could tell you that because I work directly for the administration that's running things right now. And so I think the temperature right now is a little bit different. You're still gonna find your little one or two challenges, but I always say, you know, if you get into a situation with a cop where you feel like a cop was discourteous or disrespectful, you know, don't go back and forth. There's ways you could handle it after. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it could go from 0 to 100 real quick. So just don't go back and forth. If you feel there's ways you could handle it. There's CCRB. There's a lot of ways you could handle it. Just because it gets worse. You go back and forth, somebody may get arrested, and it's not even worth it.
That's hard to say to a drunk person. Where'd I go? Go ahead.
So, Officer Roxy, right? So, I live in the 67 precinct, and I do have a business in the 67 precinct. And we have a terror in the 67 precinct by the name of Sergeant Chow. So, as far as my business, last year, Labor Day weekend, when we do, you know, distribution or whatever, we're in the mass camp. We got about 15 people in the mass camp working. Chow walks inside, and he gives 8 tickets because he saw a bear on the table in a building that we're paying for. It wasn't a party going on. It wasn't anything else going on. And that's just one example. I can give you about 15 examples about Sergeant Chow. And, and we keep getting messages, oh, they benched him, then he comes back, then they bench him, then he comes back. Then we went to the WIADCA meeting, and they said that Chow was not supposed to bother you, but then he goes by Dingalay, and he confiscates Dingalay's equipment, which is a different mass band, or whatever. On the day that they weren't having any events, they were just playing music, and they had people working. How do you want us to deal with Sergeant Chow? We can't do any more CCRB reports because Chow got about 112 of them.
Mike.
Oh, and he's very disrespectful. I forgot to add that in. Yeah, I forgot to add that in.
Thanks for letting me know that. I will definitely convey your concerns. The mass camp, this is the challenge with the mass camps this year. None of them, what mass camp are you? Chandra, okay. So did you guys apply for the liquor permit? Do you have it?
It's supposed to be coming, but yeah, we did this year. Yeah, we did.
Okay, so none of the mass camps have a liquor permit this year. None of them. Which, we actually looked online, nobody applied. So what we've, yeah, for the camp, for the liquor permit. No, I'm talking about No, you can't. You can't have liquor in public. Period. We're talking about a mass camp. So each mass camp, they usually get like 4 permits when they have events. No one applied. So there's a couple people who applied, and I think they said they had when we checked, because this concern came in regarding that, and we looked into it, and there was nobody. When did you apply? Recently? Yeah. So when we checked, there was no one that applied. So
After we had the meeting.
so it's
we were told before.
were you at the meeting?
Oh, sorry.
Were you at the meeting where I was
The band
at?
leaders were at the meeting.
Okay.
So they came back and relayed the message, but what it used to be, well, we were told years ago that your placard from
Yeah.
Rihanna
So let me
used to
just
cover
let me
that.
just clear that up.
But now we have to apply for it.
So technically, you're supposed to have a liquor permit. In previous years, they would give them 4 permits, and there's 2 different permits. There's a permit for beer and wine, and there's a permit, it's called caterer's permit, that allows you to sell the hard liquor. So in previous years, like I said, the precinct were a little bit relaxed because it's the culture, and they never really bothered the mass camp because they know it's a seasonal thing, and they never really came in to do any inspection or anything because they never really had any problems. But they started having problems at the mass camps. They started because the mass camps do fundraisers. That's where they have the big parties, and there's violence. But every mass camp is supposed to have a liquor permit. So the problem here is if you have a beer in the mass camp, even though you weren't selling it, you're not supposed to have liquor there. You cannot. So,
Yeah, but at the liquor, if you buy beer at a corner store, that corner store is licensed to sell beer. They did their job. They did their due diligence. You, as the civilian, leaves the corner store with the beer, supposed to be in a brown bag, supposed to be not open. You're not supposed to take that beer and go, you're not going to somebody's private house, you're going to somebody's business place, and as a business, you have a responsibility unlike a private place. So once you're a mass camp, you are now considered a business place, whether it's seasonal or not.
Yes.
And we could slice it and dice it however we want, but the truth of the matter is, there's been mass camps over the years that pretend that they're having a band with 2 little costumes in the corner, and they use that as a platform to have fetes and rent out the mass camp and stuff. And that's what added to the problem. So again, it comes back to where does the problem start? And just to say something that she said, yes, I did bring up the fact that we do live in a black and white society. However, I have had times where at my space, I have a good relationship with the 7 precinct, excellent relationship. And once they're not busy, because of course they're out fighting crime, I could call them and say, hey, listen, I'm expecting a really big crowd tonight. If you guys have anybody, can you guys send a car just to pass by? They would come, they would park the car up, and the minute patrons see the car outside, it's a problem, and whether we want to talk about it or not, there are police officers that get up every day and go out, leave their families at home, and go out to protect and serve. We're not talking about the bad ones here. So it's like, they're not all against us in that way. So it's like, as a promoter, as a venue owner, something happens in your club, you don't want to call the police because you don't want them inside your space. That's how the average human thinks. Me, I'm calling because if it's something that I know I can handle, my security team can handle, I'm not hesitating to call. And we as venue owners supposed to have a relationship with our captains, with our special ops people, with the community. We have them we could dial their cell phone like, listen, can you send a car? There are a lot of venue owners that don't want to call if they really have a problem. We agree to that, right? You have a question?
if you own an establishment, you can't stop something from happening. You could do the best that you can in terms of security, but if somebody wants to do something, they're going to do it. But the best thing, what you have to do is, like she said, you should call the cops. Because once you start cooperating with them and they see that, you taking responsibility for your establishment, you're not going to have that problem. I've had promoters or actually cops call me from another precinct to tell me, hey, this person is having an event in the 6-7. Can you make sure this person is good? Because and this is a cop, this is a community affairs vouching for this person because this person have parties all the time or fundraisers within their precinct and they never had a problem. And that's how it should be. You want to have a relationship with the police. And the young lady who...
Yeah, I was trying to bring it back there. Whatever. Is it fair to say he should put a sign up that says no alcohol? So, because like Natalie said, if you're coming from these streets, then you become responsible. So are you saying that there's a sign at the door that says no alcohol on the premises?
No, but not the mass camp, the organizer of the mass camp, they know. So if you're a patron that's coming in to buy costume and you coming in with your beer, that mass camp, the owner, the organizer knows that they do not have a permit. There's an agreement between Wiatka and the SLA. Wiatka has been around for 52 years. So there's an agreement. That certificate that you get when you register as a mass camp, once you apply for the permit with that certificate, they issue you the liquor license. So this is the other thing. What I always advise people to do is sometimes you'll go and rent a space to have your mass camp, and you can't get the liquor permit. The reason why you can't get the liquor permit is because there was violence at that space. And the person who owned the space might not tell you because they don't care, they want your money. So you would have rented the place and now you're trying to apply for a liquor permit and the permit you can't get it because there was violence at that place, there was a shooting or there is a stabbing. So one of the other things you should do is before you rent the space, this is why it's so good also to have a relationship with community affairs. Community affairs is your these guys, I work with these guys for years. Community affairs is your go-to guy in that precinct. Once you establish that relationship, you could actually go into the precinct and say, well, Joan, this is the location I'm actually going to use. Can you run this location for me? Can you check to see if there was any incident at this location? And Joan would run that location for you and tell you, this might not be a good location. You're going to have problems here. So that's why you really need to have a relationship with them before you even go and rent that space. And I can't say this enough. Years ago, the police department never really did much enforcement. They knew it's a seasonal thing. They never used to have problems, but times have changed. Times have changed. And there is a challenge over here, not just with the mass camps, with basement. And we have to be honest with ourselves. I'm West Indian. I've been to the basement parties, so I know. We know when we having a baby shower, it's not a baby shower, it's a party. We're going home at 4 a.m. You can't have that. There's a challenge over here in this community with that, and there's violence that's coming from there. So we have to do things right. And if you have a situation where you're wrong, like you have a bear in the mass camp, you cannot have liquor there, period. Whether you're selling or not, or you're just giving away, if you don't have a permit to have liquor on premise, you can't have it there. There should be no liquor there. And a mass camp becomes an establishment, a business, for the time that they're operating. So it's different. It's very different from going to somebody's private house and you're having a drink in their backyard or whatever. It's very different. That's why they get the permit, in opposed to a private house who couldn't get the permit. So you have to be very careful with that.
I have a question for you. Back to what you were saying about the police should not police anyone's event, right? I'm a DJ, I travel to a lot of states, and a lot of clubs I go to, there's police presence there 24/7, right? Not party police.
Yeah, but when I said police your event, I mean literally like the cops is there as presence. But when I say police your event, I mean you should police your own events in terms of your patrons leaving and dispersing. Right. That's your job.
Yeah,
to
of
police.
course.
Yeah.
My question is that since there's so many challenges in this precinct, why is there not more police presence at these events to make sure that issues don't happen? I feel like they wait until there's a big shooting, then you will see cops at a club every night.
A lot of times they don't know, because a lot of times they don't know, and that relationship is not there. Right. When I was there, every event that was happening, especially around our festive time, I knew about them.
Right.
I had a calendar with every event. All the mass camps would come in. We had mass camp meetings with because 90% of the mass camps were housed in the 6-7.
Right.
So we would call them in and tell them the expectations, because a mass camp in the 7-7 may not have the same challenges as a mass camp in the 6-7, because
Right.
there's different challenges in each precinct, and they adjust to the different challenges.
'Cause my thing is, I'm thinking more like, why is it not mandatory that there's police presence there? Meaning to say that we have a lot of issues. Like, there's parties promoters that do a lot of great events. And our challenge is that we have people from the street that just comes and ruin our events and put a bad name on us as promoters. So what I'm saying is, if we had that relationship with officers to say, well, hey, we get a mandatory officer, I don't know what it will be as far as monetary wise, or, but I feel like events should have a mandatory police unit there to secure not only the event, but the community itself. Sometimes it comes out of beyond our control, and we can't control people from the street. We're just trying to have a great event. And then you got people in the community where the event is being held, and they decide, hey, this is our community, we're gonna do what we want, and give the promoters the bad name. So when the cops come and they see the violence, automatically the party promoter gets the blame. But in reality, it's just people in the community that's trying to just destroy everything that's there. So I personally feel like every event that's being held should have a mandatory police unit there to avoid homicides, to avoid stabbings, to avoid these things, because if they, what do you mean? Why not? I personally feel that way. I personally feel that way.
No, but I'm saying, my question, I hear what you're saying. I think what he's asking is, how come we don't have a paid detail unit? Like if you're going to a show at King's.
But this is what I'm trying to get to.
But my thing is,
but listen, what I'm saying, you saying that, trust me, when you pull up to a venue and see police activity, people are a little more cautious. I'm not telling you people are not going to do what they want to do, but they're a little more cautious. When they walk into the club and they have anything illegal on them, they're going to put it back in their car because they don't want no problems, right?
Responsibility is it? If I'm getting a venue, right, and I'm paying that venue $75,000 to rent that space, that's what they do for a living. They have a space and they rent it, they have a legal license or whatever. You can either, one, expect that they have a relationship with their community affairs, blah, 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 blah. And you as the promoter can also do your due diligence. For me, what I do is, I don't like to go over the venue owner's head, right? I'm coming into their space. So I'm not just gonna go show up at the precinct and say, hey, I'm having a party by Jean. I'm gonna speak to Jean and say, Jean, how do we look with the precinct, blah, blah, blah. Should I go in and introduce myself? And I go according to the beat of that drum. But whose responsibility is it? Because we could say the venue that we are renting from, and then after now we could say, okay, well, can I go introduce myself? Can I just talk to the person, let them, or whatever the case may be? Because paid detail, I feel like how come we, or
different, but when it comes to alcohol, the NYPD does not do paid detail where it involves alcohol. So alcohol, like paid detail, what she's talking about, like sometimes you see those cops, sometimes they're in TD Bank. Yeah, they don't do it where it involves alcohol. Yeah, where there's bar, yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, New York. Yes, that's it. That's why I told him in different department, different jurisdiction is different. But in NYPD, there is a paid detail section where they do like models, they'll do TD Bank and stuff like that. But they don't do anything where it's not approved for alcohol with firearm and all that stuff. Just the same as how you can't come in a licensed establishment where there's alcohol being served with your firearm. It's the same thing. Right. That's why.
I hear a lot of questions from the audience shouting out, so I'm going to bring the mic out. So raise your hands if you have a question or a comment.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Cat Waters. I'm a promoter out of Long Island. I've been promoting for 15 years. I'm a TV host. I manage artists. I do venues all the time. My business is out of the town of Islip. When I got my business out of the town of Islip, automatically I get a percentage from the bar. I get the door. And on top of that, because I got a business out of the town of Islip, automatically when I go to the precinct, the cops have to police the area. They didn't want to do it because they said we're not your security. I have a security license also, but I also have off-duty cops. I have retired COs that do my door, that police the venue, and I also have ushers that also police the inside to make sure nobody's bringing stuff through the back door. And at the same time also, the cops in the community, as far as them knowing you, once your name is in that computer and they run your name and they know you're legitimate, a lot of promoters are not licensed promoters. They're just people who promote parties. I have a legitimate business and I'm licensed, which means they automatically are gonna come out and police because they work for us. Their job is to police the parking lot and make sure people are safe in the parking lot. Now, if it's a crime scene or anything happens, they gotta come inside the building, then everything gets shut down. But from the outside, we are controlling the inside, they're controlling the outside. The difference is, as far as our venues, today we have Facebook, we have Instagram. They're watching these venues. They know when we're doing these parties. Years ago, it was word of mouth and text messages, and they didn't know that. Today, everything's being monitored. They know the venues we're doing. They know the people that's coming out. And as far as drinking, you can easily go to the same town that you're doing your venue in and say, listen to me, I need a permit for the day. They're not going to give it to you only for the day. If you say you want a tick license or a beer license or whether it's wine or beer, if you're under a building that has a liquor license, you're covered under them. You can't take it outside. But if I don't have a liquor license right now, I'm a promoter and I'm doing a venue, even like tonight, I do Ciroc. I work for Ciroc. As long as the building has a liquor license, I'm permitted to promote it, do shots, drinks, as long as they don't take it outside. The only responsibility that we have to make sure is that we check IDs, that people of age, and the owner's job is to make sure that he's not bootlegging, he's not selling something other than what he has back there, he's not taking liquor from the outside, bringing it and serving it inside his establishment, and those are pretty much the rules. As far as, you know, I got locked up. Gang unit locked me up. They raided my whole spot. I lost tons of money. And they locked me up, put me on a paddy wagon because they thought I was an off-the-books promoter. I cooperated, I did what they told me to do. They locked me up, they took me to the precinct. Okay, and when I got to the precinct, they ran my name. They found out I was a licensed promoter, a TV host for Long Island. And you know what they did? They released me on the spot. They gave me all my belongings back, and they let me go. They came back the next day to the same venue I was at. They policed the venue, and they apologized to my clientele for making me lose money because I was legit. The problem is, automatically, they do stereotype us to think that we're not professional people and we don't know what we're doing. But as long as you do what you're supposed to do and you're confident in what you're doing as a business person, it's gonna work out. They had to make sure they come back to let my people feel safe because they see people with different colors. They think people are gangbanging. They thinking there's different gangs in the establishment, and they felt they could come there and do that, and they were wrong. And they had to come back and make the community feel safe after that because they, of course, stereotyped that it was gangs environment and going on in there and drugs and everything like that. You can't just come to somebody's event. If this is a private event, it's against the law for any cop to come in this event when it's private. Even with a search warrant, they can't do that. It's private. It's not for the public. If it's open to the public, they can do that. If it's not open to the public and it's a private event, they have to get permission. They have to come to the door. The owner of that event has to come out and talk to that person, and then they get permission to come in and check everybody's ID and come to see if anything's in that building. They can't just come and raid. A bar or a club, they can raid. If it's a private event, they cannot do it. I just want to just put that out there because I have that experience and I've been doing it.
So a lot of promoters are getting, I'm going to use the word hoodwinked. Hoodwinked by venue owners, lots of people who have warehouses in Williamsburg and stuff like that, and they're like, you know what, I have a space, you know what, I charge XYZ, and you're good, because I'm good with the precinct and we good. Or they, you know, and we, not me, but we, think because we're renting from a white boy or Italian, not West Indian, because they say you're good, we think you're good. But yes, but for people who don't know, anybody can go online on SLA's website and put in an address and find if that place has a license on the premise. That's one. Two, the biggest trick in the book, if you go to an empty warehouse with just sprinklers in the ceiling, I can bet your last dollar that place is not a licensed premise, whether they're good or not. So sometimes we as promoters think, you know, we rent a place, they charge us £1 and a crown, the guy said we're good, and then we expect the police to police the event, and then we feel like, oh, how come we got shut down or whatever the case may be. But we're paying money for venues that are not licensed. When you go to a venue that's not licensed and asking for proper documentation, right? First thing first, as a promoter, if you go to a license and they don't even give you a contract, or they give you a contract with your name, Mary, that's it. These are signs that you're supposed to look at. Hence, back to what you said, this is why you get a lot of due to unforeseen circumstances, because promoters so hyped to have the party, oh, I got a space, and I got a new space, and nobody ever used this space before, right? So it's like, the information is out there, right? So you as a patron, even before, if you ask where the address is, you could pull it up. You could pull it up. These warehouses and these places and stuff like that, the reason why they're not clubs is because they do not have the right things that makes them a legal venue, right? So they do these one-offs or whatever the case. They don't have the right amount of exits and all these things. Again, remember, for any place to have a liquor license, like I said, it's so much red tape involved. So like I was saying to them before, for me as a venue owner, I have an issue with the backyard parties when you have a fete in your yard and you charge $50 to come in. I have a problem with that. I ain't knocking nobody's hustle. I'm just keeping it real, because at the end of the day, what I have to go through, what I went through with health department the other day, where they shut me down because they saw 5 flies, and wouldn't open me back up until they don't see 1 fly. Like literally, sorry, I can't open you because I see 1. These are the things that we go through. So at the end of the day, it's like, I think the promoters need to do their due diligence. Don't leave it up to the venue owners, unless it's somebody you have a reputation with, unless it's a venue that you see that's been existing in a long, you gotta do your homework too. So it's the promoters, I think the patrons too, need to know where they're going, and I think some of the venue owners need to stop hoodwinking my people. Like, stop taking our money and giving us this sad story, or, renting to my people, and then, 200 people in the party, 400 people left outside, and telling them stories like, well, you gotta pay me more to get, hold, and all these kind of nonsense. So it's like, these are the things that are happening. This is what they're doing to us West Indians right now.
My goodness.
A couple of your events, and what your concerns that you're saying with the cops, how come they're at her event? Because she's well established, she has a relationship with the cops, she goes to the precinct, she let them know when she's having, and she has a great relationship. I came out to a couple of your events, and the cops are there. They're there. So, it's so important, like I said before, to build a relationship with your community affairs. The precinct is your friend. If you're having an event, they're there to make sure your patrons are safe. So don't be scared to go in the precinct and talk to the community affairs, or even talk to the commanding officer, and just let him know, introduce yourself. Like he said, he's well known, he's well established over there. They know, okay, this guy's having that event, that's gonna be a good event, that's gonna be a safe event, we don't have to worry about anything. Another thing also, as a DJ, the one thing I tell people, I've been to events where a particular song come on, and people, they're intoxicated, and they start going crazy. They start throwing bottles, they start throwing ice bucket. So you have a responsibility as a promoter who's having an event. That DJ, people don't understand how powerful that DJ is in that event, because he's managing that crowd. He's controlling that crowd, not you. When people are on the influence and they're having a great time, the one person that they're listening to is that DJ. So they have a responsibility to make announcements and tell people we're not doing, because these are the things that get you into problems, because people come out of these events hurt because of these things. And as funny as it may sound, it's very serious. You have people in there drinking, they're coming out, the ambulance is picking them up. When the police is outside and they see stuff like that, that's a problem. You know, so all these things you have to take into consideration because you want to have a good time, but it should be safe and it should be a responsible event where people are walking out, they're leaving, you know, people are not coming out in stretchers, going in ambulance because they're getting liquor poison, and people are getting hit in the head because they threw the pickup something came on and they threw the ice and the ice hit somebody in the eyes. Because guess what? This is what a lot of people fail to realize. When something happens in your event that you didn't do or you had no control over, one of your patrons throw ice and they hit somebody and the police is called. Once medical attention is required, guess what? Once 911 is called, the police is generated there and a report is generated at that event. That's the problem. So that's how crucial it is inside when people are doing this stuff, because if somebody gets hurt, they're going to the hospital. They ain't just going to the hospital without calling 911. The police responds with the ambulance, and a complaint report is done for that event. So now there's an open complaint on this establishment. So all these things you got to put into consideration.
Hold on. I'm feeling a Tune Tuesday vibes. Every week, Tune Tuesday, I say I'm going from 7 to 8. And then somehow it gets 7:55 and I have 10 more songs to play and I have a whole request list come in and I have to say, okay. We're going tunes. We're going hard. We're going hard right now, guys. It's 10:22. We've only been blessed to have this space till 11 and DJ Dilly is in the space. Yes, exactly. And so we're going hard. We're going hard right now. I need real answers.
Do a part 2.
I need real answers of what we need to do. And we thank you. We thank you for your time. And you gave us so much knowledge in that short space of time.
I apologize, but I have I've been at work since 8 o'clock this morning, and I have a Grenadian husband that expect me to come and cook some food, so.
That's it.
So I have to go.
That's two shots against the Grenadians.
I know.
But thank you so much, Detective Roxanne Joseph. Thank you so much to our panelists. I'm sorry, guys. We could do a part 2, a part 3, a part 4, but we definitely have been enjoying and been enlightened by this discussion.
But I need some answers. Y'all not getting up here before you give me. But I don't go on and on. Give me some quick answers of what we have to do to maintain venues. How do we keep these spaces?
Ooh. You want them to give the 30-second answers so that we could.
But we
invited Jean to be on this panel.
We invited Jean to be on the panel, and she said no, thank you. But she's sitting there yelling at me
Front
now.
and center. Front and center.
2 whole seconds, Jean. 2 whole seconds. Come forward. Come front.
30 seconds while we can.
Come front. Okay.
All right. Hello, community. Hello, my people. Understand that we are facing removal. Okay? Do not play games with what is happening in this community. Storage houses, storage units were being built in preparation to remove the. That's the plan for storage, because they have plans to put in apartment buildings that you cannot afford. So if you cannot afford the apartment buildings, you will be putting your in storage, because you will be being put out. Back to the neighborhood, clubs like mine, okay, are facing massive pressure because when the white folks move into the hood, they're not coming here. They're not renting Tropical Reflections. No white person is renting Tropical Reflections. I have been here 23 years. None have rented it yet. I don't expect them to start renting it now. But the bottom line is that is not the reason that young people, when they start drinking and they fight and all that, that's things happen. These things happen. White folks, it happens all the time too. They get stone drunk. What do you say, Natalie? Out their face. Send them home, don't lock them up. But us, we get locked up. So, do not overskirt the issue that we are being removed from the community. I don't know how long I'll be here. No clue. But as soon as the police have a problem with you, okay, and they have plans for the district that your business is in, you're going to be targeted. And you're going to be targeted for removal. Because these white people are not coming here to live here and then go to Manhattan to buy their bagels. So no. They'll be taking your restaurants, your grocery stores, your little boutiques, and putting in their bagel shops and their little wine shops and everything that will make them comfortable, because they're not coming here to live here and then shop in Manhattan. They're coming here to live here and take over the hood. So the bottom line is that all this talk about what goes on in parties and what goes on here and there and the little fights, that's just minor compared to what's happening in the community. Now everybody knows what storage units are. You could just open your eyes, look around, and you see a storage unit everywhere. It's for you. It's for you. They are expecting your ass to live in a storage unit. Because why? We see black people work very hard for their money, very hard, right? Very, very hard for their money. We are not paying $3,000 a month rent for a one-bedroom apartment to anybody. $3,000 a month is mortgage money. But we have to face reality that this is in 5 more years. My house is in Bed-Stuy. 23 years I'm in Bed-Stuy. Both sides of the houses, on both sides of my house, are white people. Hello. You don't feel special, baby. You ain't special. Don't feel special. What I am saying is that we have to prepare ourselves for what is happening in this community. If you do not own something, you're going to be looking to get put out. These folks have plans 30 years in advance for what they plan to do to your neighborhood. Imagine Bushwick, under the train tracks, white people turning keys, opening doors on the train tracks. What the is that? What is that? We want to live in the damn store, in apartments over stores. Now everybody trying to get an apartment over a store and say, oh. So the reality is, what I'm trying to say, everybody, I loved everything you said. Excuse me if I'm a little emotional, but it is what the it is. Okay, it is what the it is. All right? Y'all did a good job trying to explain shit. But the bottom line, y'all ain't explain shit. Because none of y'all up here owning clubs going through the problems. Y'all don't understand. We have major problems when the fete is good all night, and then you motherfuckers want to go outside and fight after the fete was good all night. I have knee burns because at 3:30 I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees. I'm praying for my people to go to home. Please go home, because they're looking at you. They're watching you. They're looking to see how you're reacting. They're looking for a reason to shut you down. And this is all it is. And a lot of times we give them reasons to shut us down, but a lot of times you don't have to have no reason. Just be black. Black like me. You ain't gotta have no reasons. You just black. And that's all it is. So all I'm saying is that, good job, guys. Y'all tried.
You tried.
I appreciate your trying. But understand that we have to unite, put monies together, and do things together. These little house, $600,000. What the 3 people get together and you can buy that $600,000 house. Instead of letting it go, and then the white folks tear it down, and next thing you know, it's 17 floors. Look, y'all have a good night. Go buy some drinks at the bar. Okay? Everybody go have some drinks at the bar, and accept that in 5 more years, who the will be walking up and down Flatbush Avenue? Not me, eh? Not me. 5 more years. Who gonna be walking up and down Church Avenue? Not me. So, thank you, and that's it.
Listen, I learned some things tonight. I learned some things tonight.
I think that's it. I would love to keep it going, but, what do you say after that?
I'm just going to summarize a few things because I cannot follow that.
Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, we invited Jean to be a panelist.
She gave us so much talk before this.
No,
too.
you guys go ahead.
Whew. All right, so here's what I learned. We need to join the community board.
Yes.
We need to be legitimate business owners. have all the licenses, all your ducks in a row, pay all the fees, I'm sorry, and then pick yourself up, go to the precinct, make friends with the community affairs.
Yes.
Shake hands, then
And
have,
just do it the right way and do it like a business.
Can I say something?
Please.
Can I say something?
Listen, I want to rave, but I also want to have a culture that goes on. So please talk.
All right.
We will.
I totally agree with Jean. You know, I know she's very emotional right now, but it still doesn't give a solution on where we start to get the community to where it needs to be. In the meantime, as far as that, right? There's still a lack of knowledge that we don't know about when it comes to licenses and throwing events and doing things like that. And we still don't know. And even if everyone in this room knows today, the entire community still doesn't know. And I feel like we need to learn the laws of New York City and learn certain things, right? But that's the thing. We shouldn't wait till something happened to do it. Like, we need to get it out there and let people learn. There's a lot of promoters out there right now that's being tricked. They go to a yard. Hey, huh?
Roy.
I'm willing to help. Listen, if I get the channels to get things done, I'm willing to speak up and help. I have no problem with that.
Roy,
you know?
let me say this. One thing I can say for sure in New York City is that our Caribbean representation is poor. And that's what it is. We don't have Caribbean, and this is nothing against you, Ms. Jones, you community activists, and I get it, and that's great for our community. But when you look at New York City on a whole, for some reason, and I'm gonna call his name, so for some reason now everybody's looking at Jemani. And they're thinking that Jemani, okay, he's a public advocate. Jemani's a politician. He's not a Caribbean leader. And that's the point that we have to get to understand. We need Caribbean leadership in here. So when everybody runs out and you run and vote for president, and you do this and you do that, and it's 90% of the population runs out and vote for the president, but then 10% of the neighborhood runs out to vote for our local politicians. We're not putting nobody in office to be putting to be in place to say anything for us. The city is not gonna listen to me standing up talking. You understand? They will listen to people in certain positions. So if we're not putting people in certain positions to make certain things happen, we sitting here wasting our breath. And that's why I said at the end of the day that, as Ms. Jean said also, I can see 3 to 5 years, this will be done because we have nobody to speak up for. And even the ones that, the one or two that we did put in place, we don't back them anyway.
That's key. That is key. Because, so Jemani's my person, so I might have to say that he is a Caribbean elected official, and he does do the darn thing, but the reality is he's doing it alone quite often. So what we need to do is put our big girl and big boy underwear on, step up, step in, and get this thing done. So instead of us just sitting, so there's a lot of excellent points that were made tonight, but unless we put proof to pudding, unless we start moving forward, unless we put action to the discussion that was had here, then in 2 years, like I'm gonna call you on it, not even 5 to 10, in 2 years this is done. Because they're coming for us first. For all the reasons that Ms. Jean gave, for all the reasons that we all know about, the walking while black, you know, they misunderstand our culture, we're just noise, or what is that, steel pan, I don't understand any. For all those reasons, we're under attack. So what do you do when you're under attack? Stand up, fight back. And how we fight back is we now put it together and we know what we need to have happen, and then we need to be the people enacting what needs to happen. So I'm about calling to action. So what are we gonna do about it? Who wants to take this mic right now and say what is the plan for tomorrow so that 10 years from now we have our culture still? Who wants to take my mic and tell me?
Got it.
I mean, listen, I'm here to help. I got solutions. I have some good ideas. A lot of people may not agree with some of my ideas that I have, but at the end of the day, I'm here to help. It's so sad that a lot of people in the community don't even know when the community meetings are. They don't even know it has community meetings here. It's so under the carpet that people don't even know there's a community meeting down the block on Avenue D in the school. They don't know. It's under the carpet. And if people don't show up, and sometimes you see a lot of club owners and business owners come to those meetings, but you really need the community. These are the people that live here and understand what's going on every day. So they need to be there. Ms. Jean, I don't know. I don't know who's taking over. Right?
You taking
but
over.
What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't even know these things exist. It's a lack of knowledge. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people. We don't know about it.
I think DysChick, exactly. I think DysChick and SocaSaySo are gonna put something together so we can keep in communication and action for the next one. All right.
I feel like she read my mind.
We got a couple people that are burning to say things, but we need a part 2, 3, 4, 5.
We really do. We could be here all night. And one thing that I definitely do appreciate is, listen, Rant and Rave, this is our 4th one, and we said we were going to save the best for last. Were we wrong? Was this not the best? All right, this is important. It's important that we get involved in our communities. That's the whole reason that we started this. We didn't want to just sit back and complain. We want to come together and find solutions. So to that end, I know people have questions. Y'all gonna have to mingle and talk to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Here, but we had issues that people kept DMing us and calling us and emailing us, and so we said, let's take it offline. Let's do it live for people to come and talk. And now we've talked, and now y'all still want to talk, and I'm not a promoter, so I'm not going to keep this going. But we're going to go back online, and we are going to do a podcast.
We got to be in front of the. You got to be right here. We have to be in front of the camera to let the people know Rant and Rave is going to become a podcast. Okay. So make sure that you guys subscribe. We are going to have spirited discussions. We're going to have guests come on and talk the things, okay? Because we know 4-part series in the summer is just not enough. So we're going to keep it going. And
by things, we mean solutions.
We mean solutions.
We know all the problems.
Yes. And listen, after every Rant and Rave, DysChick SocaSaySo, we get involved. We do. We've started volunteering with WIADCA. We've started working with Greg Bishop. We are putting things together to make our community better. This is not just a discussion. This is a call to action.
Looks like we're gonna have to do some forums. Fine.
Yes. But thank you all for coming out. I know you want to keep this going forever. She loves the heat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, everybody stand on your feet and give these 2 young ladies a round of applause. They really deserve a round of applause, like what they're doing right here, not that many people is doing. Please give these young ladies a round of applause. Very much so. And I thank you very much, and I know I can speak for the rest of the panel, where I can say I thank you very much for inviting us here in order for us to be able to do this and speak to people of all kind of generations that are in here. And I hope and pray that you guys continue to do this. And there's a lot of different opinions, and you're gonna get all the different opinions, but you guys open the platform. And I can speak for everybody here when I say we do appreciate it, and we hope that you guys continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Get all emotional.
We've had 4 Rant and Raves, and I don't know if I have had a good enough rave yet.
Oh,
so
we are
I
going
need you
to
people
rave.
to stay and dance with me because
this is the last one. We are
dance
kicking
in
off
these
Labor
shoes, you know.
Day weekend.
I just jump up in these heels.
Exactly.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Jean, for giving us your venue.
Yes.
Because this is an actual venue that has stood the test of time. Thank you, Tropical Reflections Ballroom.
Yes. So now it's time. Now it's time for us to
DJ Dilly is in the building. Oh my word! Look at that.
Dylan. Yes. We've also got Kerry the drummer in the building.
Wow.
We're gonna have music, we got vendors, we have drinks. Everybody free up yourself. Thank you so much for coming.
I think what I learned tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because I haven't said anything yet, what it boils down to is ownership. This is a West Indian black-owned establishment, and we're happy for that. The mass camps, a lot of the places, the locations do not have liquor licenses. They're fooling us, like you said. We're being bamboozled, right? But if it's ours, it's a different thing. We're going to other people the whole time. So, build up your money, set it up with our family, just like the Jews did it, just like everybody else did it. I'm doing it with my family. We're getting together and building things. So that's what it boils down to. Have your own, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.